You are a founder of a franchise first. It's a laundromat.
So we went from like 30K in revenue to 300K in revenue within like the first year of buying it.
So this would be a good segue into Franzy, something awesome that you created. And the goal was to democratize franchising. I think that was the way you said it to me. What does that mean?
So I got into entrepreneurship in college. I guess probably just from watching my dad growing up. He was a financial advisor and so not a pure entrepreneur, but ate what he killed, no salary, 100% commission. And I would see him growing up, golfing all summer long. And I was like, do you work? All my friends' dads are, doing stuff. He's like, yeah, wait till fall comes around, winter comes around. And he would we're from Minnesota, so can't golf in the winter. He would work his ass off, working with his clients, helping them figure out estate planning and all this stuff. And he did really well for himself. And I remember at a young age, him telling me there's three types of individuals, the people that work for someone else, the people that work for themselves, and the people that have people working for them. And he's like, you want to be number 2 or 3. You either want to be working for yourself or you want people working for you. It's just things go faster. You have more flexibility, more freedom.
Welcome to the show, Alex.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming all the way from Charlotte.
As far in the United States, I think that I could have come.
Well, I think Hawaii's a little further, but that's okay because you're not here for geography lessons. But thank you, man. I'm really excited. We're about to work together. Let's just be blunt. And I've learned so much about your platform and your application and the approach you're taking to democratize franchising for franchisees and franchisors. It's a unique approach in a very old way of doing business. And so I'm really excited to come and have you here to not only share a little bit about Franzy for the audience, but also you, because you're also a founder of a franchise and a badass. And those attributes of pivoting, changing, and kind of owning this space, I think would be very, very beneficial for not only myself, but the audience. So thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks again for having me. Excited to get the word out about franchising and the entrepreneurial journey and all the above.
And most importantly, I got you right before the birth of your new baby. Look how good he looks. So congratulations on that. I can't wait. The next time I see you, you're going to be a father.
And then I'll look way more tired.
Well, listen, it's a progressive thing. It's a forever thing. But yes, so I'm getting you at your most rested.
And me and my wife were talking about this, and she's like, this is probably the last trip that you can go on that's 5 hours away. Even when I landed last night, she was like, yeah, I was just thinking if something happened, you're like 20 hours away. I'm like, well, it's not 20, but yeah, it is far.
When it's that severe, it kind of is 20, right? Because whether it's 20, 100, or 3, you ain't going to be there. So what's your wife's name?
Melissa.
Melissa, just hold it together till he gets home. Promise we'll get him home safe today. You're home today.
Today.
Well, thank you again for coming. This is going to be good. So I want to start because you are a founder of a franchise first.
Mm-hmm.
It's a laundromat. What made you, you're a young guy.
Yep.
Did you grow up with laundromats? Because that is not a traditional path for a young founding entrepreneur to jump into.
No, it's funny. It's like other articles or, shows I've done will be like, Alex, super passionate about laundry. And I'm like, my wife will tell you I still don't know how to do a fitted sheet. And it really isn't about the laundry. I think it was more about problem solving and, the challenge behind that and entrepreneurship. So I got into entrepreneurship in college. I guess probably just from watching my dad growing up. He was a financial advisor and so not a pure entrepreneur, but ate what he killed, no salary, 100% commission. And I would see him growing up, golfing all summer long. And I was like, do you work? All my friends' dads are, doing stuff. He's like, yeah, wait till fall comes around, winter comes around. And we're from Minnesota, so can't golf in the winter. He would work his ass off, working with his clients, helping them figure out estate planning and all this stuff. And he did really well for himself. And I remember at a young age, him telling me there's three types of individuals, the people that work for someone else, the people that work for themselves, and the people that have people working for them. And he's like, you want to be number 2 or 3. You either want to be working for yourself or you want people working for you. It's just things go faster. You have more flexibility, more freedom. And so that always stuck with me. And so when I got into college, I was like, all right, what kind of things can I do outside of class? And so I worked for a student-run laundry and dry cleaning pickup and delivery business at Wake Forest.
Did you pick up and deliver, or did you do the laundry?
So I did both. I was trying to just make some extra money as a freshman, and the guys that ran it were seniors. It started as a classroom project, and they were graduating. I was like, I want to buy this thing. This is amazing. I could go to Duke and Chapel Hill and resume builder, and that's how I looked at it at first. I ended up buying it from them, and at 18 years old, had to figure out what's a DCF, or a discounted cash flow analysis, and how do I, do an earnout. Like I didn't know any of that in a class.
You bought it at 18?
I bought it at 18 to 19 years old.
How did you come up with the money?
I had $4,000 saved up, which wasn't enough. I found two partners. We got to like 11 or 12 grand. And then we negotiated an earnout with the seniors that were graduating, where we ended up paying them a total of like 30 to 35 grand over a few years. And then we immediately went to the university and said, this needs to be a checkbox option for incoming parents. They're the ones buying it ultimately. And then get a booth at college orientation. So it'd be like Jeff would get his parking pass, his meal plan, his keys, dorm keys. And then they gave us the booth right next to him, like the most important, like best real estate. So every parent, I think, thought, oh, we have to sign up.
So you just got them all?
So we went from like 30K in revenue to 300K in revenue within like the first year of buying it. 70% margins because it was subscription. You pay for the semester, the school year up front. And so this went from like a fun entrepreneurial project, revenue, resume builder, to like, holy shit, this is actually making real money for us now. And I learned more doing that than any class, I took at Wake, not because the professors were bad or anything. It was just like that hands-on, tangible experience. And from then on, I've just been hooked into entrepreneurship.
So did you go to class when you were making that much money?
Senior year, not so much.
You made it to senior year.
I made it to senior year.
You are a good dude. I would not have made it to senior year making
but
that kind of money.
Looked at it like, all right, all the stuff that I'm learning in a class, like some of these professors are phenomenal. Like, some of the best Wall Street investment bankers turned professors. So I was like, can I take and learn from them and then apply it to my business? So I was a finance major. I was in this like quantitative modeling class, and we were talking about how can Delta Airlines optimize the number of passengers and tickets it sells on the plane. I'm like, all right, I'm going to take the underlying learning here, but to me it was how many laundry bags could I fit in a van? What if we bought a vehicle versus leased it, and then could we fit 20 bags? What if we re-racked the van so we could fit 40? And so I'd take the same, very like academic, heady, modeling class and be like, can I actually use this? And like that combination, I think, was one of the best ways to just learn anything. It meant a lot to me for the business, and it was very technical, and I probably wouldn't have paid as much attention if it wasn't, real to me.
And I really hope everybody listening really hones in on that, because that is why so many people spend so many hours listening to podcasts, watching YouTube videos, and absorbing information, but don't apply it to what they're doing, right? Because it's Karate Kid. It's painting a house to learn how to do the movements. That's what school is. You don't go to college to actually learn how to do the thing. You go to college to learn how to approach the problem and how to think about the thing. And then you have to take that and apply it to whatever you're doing. That's where academia fails. That's why the joke is A students from Harvard work for C students or people who fail out. It's because they're A students because they're able to absorb information and repeat. The real world doesn't work that way, right? Because in school, you learn a lesson, take a test.
Yep.
In the real world, you take a test and then learn a lesson. And so if you don't realize how to take the approach to the problem, which you did, and actually apply it, and I did not think about any of that at 18. I was thinking about girls and alcohol and partying.
I was doing some of that too, but
I don't know. I wish I had damn it. My friends at U of A, what the hell? I needed you as my roommate, man. I'd be swimming in it. So you do that. You're killing it.
Sold it when I graduated.
You didn't keep it?
I wanted to keep going to Duke, Chapel Hill, but my two partners, this was a resume thing for them. Even when we were making money, they were like, I want to go do investment banking. I want to go do marketing at Pepsi and Frito-Lay. And like that was, because the other thing that I've learned throughout this process is whether it's family pressure or societal pressure, there is this kind of underlying tone of you get good grades in school, and if you don't, you're a failure. And you got to get good grades in high school to get into a good college. And then when you get into the good college, you have to get good grades again so that you can get your good job at a Fortune 100 or Fortune 500. It's like, that's the path. There's no one telling you, for most people, there's no one telling you there's all these other paths that you could take. And so doing anything other than that, you feel like you're letting your parents down, your friends down, or your family, your society down, your professor down. And so my two partners, I think, felt more like, hey, this is what I'm supposed to go do. And even when I, after we'd sold the business, I went and worked for Ernst & Young for 1.5 years. I didn't make it very long. I did well there, and I figured out the systems in the game and how to, get a good rating there. But the upside is so capped, and that for me was, I need to go do something for myself where there's unlimited upside. And when I told my parents I was leaving, they're very supportive of me, very supportive of the laundry thing I did in college. But you could even tell that even then I was like, well, hey, you just went to this awesome, top 20 university. you got a job at a big four. Like, why would you leave it? And you could tell there was this tone of like, why would you do that? And so even then I could feel why most people think, I don't want to let someone down, especially people that helped me through college and made me who I am. And so that was like a huge learning moment of like, once you have conviction in something, even if the people closest to you don't, like, go for it anyway, bet on yourself and take the risk. You can always go work at EY or another company again. If they hired you once, why wouldn't they hire you a second time, especially if you're, you know that you perform well and are a good operator.
I agree with pretty much every single thing you just said. My only ask back to you is, do you think that applies to everybody? Do you think everybody has what it takes, being that you are a successful entrepreneur, to actually do that part where everything is now on your shoulders? Because I was so grossly, if I had known what I was walking into when I quit my only job at ADP as a top sales rep to start my own company, if you could have shown me what was going to be required, there is no way I would have done it. Now, I would have ended up having to do something else because I'm not wired to work for like a traditional model, but I had no idea what I was walking into. And even today, I tell my daughters, literally, I tell my 19-year-old, if you can find a passion and work in an organization that allows you to have the freedom to be yourself, inject your DNA, and have that, go do it. Because I love my daughter. She is not meant for entrepreneurship. So I feel like it is not as glorious as some people make it. Mm-hmm. It is extremely hard.
Yeah.
And the stress that it puts on every facet of your life is hard. That's true for jobs too, by the way. I'm not saying that this is harder than anything else. Go be a doctor. I can't do that. That's too stressful for me. Mm-hmm. A doctor will tell you it's not meant for everybody.
Yep.
A policeman will tell you it's not meant for a teacher. Not everyone should be a teacher. Mm-hmm. The patients, oh my gosh, I could never do that job. Big Four, go work at Ernst & Young. That is a tough thing. So my question to you is it right for everybody?
No, I agree with you. I don't think it is. I used to project that, I think, onto people. Like, I'm in my early 20s, mid-20s, and I'm like, when we'd hire people, it's like, oh, if you just work this hard, eventually you could go start your own company, and I'll be the first one to back you. And I eventually had someone tell me, like, Alex, I don't want to go do that. I just assumed like everyone wants to do this because it is addicting and fun and fulfilling. But that was like a good reminder for me is, one, not everyone's cut out for it, but two, not everyone even wants to do that. They like being a number two or a number three and learning and being around it and being on the team.
And being able to actually turn it off.
I can go home on the weekend and I'm not thinking about it. I know you're in the office though, on the weekend, and it's like, yeah, that's a good point. Like for them, there's more balance, and that's what they want.
Well, I mean, I attribute it, and you're about to understand this really quickly, I attribute it to having another kid, right? It's a forever thing until it's not your thing. And everybody's problem is your problem. And they have the ability to change, and you're in it. And again, I say that because in my position, everyone thinks I should be the biggest advocate and proponent for entrepreneurship. And I am. If you have the attributes, like talking to you, I would tell you, you cannot do anything but work for yourself. Mm-hmm. Just our conversations. Like you love the problem solving. You need that creative freedom. You must do it. Mm-hmm. But if you didn't, I would tell you, why don't you work in an environment that allows you that same freedom that you want, that same path that you want that isn't capped, right? Where you can go kill what you hunt or eat what you kill, and have the opportunity to have as much professional growth as you want. Because I bet you, look at Steve Ballmer, right? The owner of the Clippers. He's wealthier than Bill Gates. He owns the Clippers. He came after Bill Gates as the CEO of Microsoft. He didn't start Microsoft. So you have that freedom if you are in the right environment. So I think it's following the path is important. And I say that because franchising is a great path for people who are kind of in between. Mm-hmm. And that's why I love franchising is I want to be an entrepreneur, but I don't know that I have the ability to do it all, and I want to work for myself. Yep. And I think franchising is that middle ground. And that's what I have learned from franchising Everbowl is I can start my own company and do it all and create it from scratch, and that is really hard. I can go work for a company, and that is really hard. And I can start a franchise, and that is really hard. But when you bridge, I don't want to work for somebody my whole life. I don't want to, and I don't know that I have the ability to create every element of a business from scratch because I might be good at 60% of it. There is 40%. I'm competing with someone who is really good, right? Mm-hmm. Can you design a concept? Can you build SOPs? Do you understand finance and accounting? Do you understand capital raising? Do you understand supply chain? Do you understand how to deploy whatever service, product, or widget you do? Mm-hmm. Do you know how to do marketing? Do you know how to do distribution? Do you know how to raise capital? Like there are so many elements that are outside of the niche. So you have these two sides. I think franchising is the Goldilocks zone. And
Yeah,
I wanted your intake on that.
I completely agree. I used to, when we were starting the second laundry business, it was, a marketplace like a DoorDash or an Uber or an Instacart, but for laundry and dry cleaning. And people had asked us about, will you franchise this? Could I become an owner in this state or this city? And we'd always say no. Like, oh, we're going to do it corporately. And franchising to us, I think like a lot of people, I thought it was McDonald's and Subway, and it had this kind of bad reputation of it's like, oh, it's what you do if you don't. And the more I've gotten into it, the more I agree with what you're saying, and kind of that conversation I had with that employee where it was like, not everyone wants to do this from from scratch, 0 to 1 thing, but they want to be entrepreneurial. They want to be their own boss. They want more freedom. They want more flexibility. And I do think, and I've come around to, franchising is probably one of the best vehicles to do that. It's still hard work. It's still problem solving. It's still challenging. And so it scratches that itch without, I need to go get a designer to do logos. I need to do menu innovation. I have to find supply chain, distribution, build. Hey, you get to go operate and be really good at whether it's 1 location and that's as big of a bite as you want to take, or 10 locations and that's as big as a bite you want to take. That optionality is still there with the ability to get challenged, to, again, scratch that itch without all of the risk of doing it, alone.
Yeah, and having that issue, because the other part about entrepreneurship that I don't think is understood is how lonely it is. You have no peer. If you're a founder by yourself without a co-founder, you have nobody to sit next to you. In a franchise system, you have, if you go buy a McDonald's, you have every other franchisee in the system that has the same needs, issues, challenges you have that are part of your tribe. They are your essential peers. And so that's my best favorite thing I've had since franchising ever, because I was like, I never was going to do it. I said no to everybody. I thought it was the worst thing ever. Is the fact that all of a sudden I have these business owners, these entrepreneurs,
partners
that are become partners. And so all of a sudden they're innovating because I never get offended if the spirit and heart of what you have to say is in the best interest of whatever it is that we're about, right? So if you work for Everbull and you think I am making the biggest mistake and you have Everbull's best interest, you can tell me whatever you want. Jeff, you're the worst CEO in the world. I don't mind. These partners, these entrepreneurs, they have Everbull's best interest in mind because it serves them. So any feedback we get is truly from a good place, and vice versa. And so it's like all of a sudden I have peers and I have teammates at the same level. And that to me from a founder was awesome. I don't know if you experienced that to you.
I agree. I think some of the best ideas come from those that are closest to the problem or to the customer. And so what we're seeing at our corporate stores could be vastly different from what a franchise partner is seeing in Texas or Florida, where we just aren't operating as a corporation yet. And so I like the series of individuals that care at the same level that you do, because their skin is in the game. They've got their own money, their retirement potentially, their kids' legacy. They're having their kids involved in the business. It's like all of this is very real. And I agree with you. You're getting this force multiplier of like 20 Jeffs. All of a sudden, where it's like they're gonna compliment me. We're gonna compliment each other, but we're all gonna take this seriously and care about it. Versus
and challenge each other.
Hiring a GM that would be great and will care, but not as much as someone who's betting on themselves and on the business.
If you had to sum up, what does entrepreneurship mean to you?
That's a really good question.
I imagine 20 of me.
To me, I think it does mean the ability to create something, problem solve, and do it in a way that's impacting not just like yourself. Like my dad was, he worked for a company still, but it was creating wealth for him and his family, and he had an impact on a community of people. And that's why when I said he's not like a pure entrepreneur, he's entrepreneurial, but I wouldn't have said he was like a pure entrepreneur. I think where it becomes purely entrepreneurial is when you're going, almost from scratch. You're going out into this, wilderness and to solve this hard thing, but you're also doing it through the lens of creating a much bigger impact than just the impact for yourself or the immediate circle around you. It's this huge community. My dad might have had 50 to 100 clients, but I think when it starts becoming where you're impacting hundreds of people a day or a week is when it starts to become this larger entrepreneurial journey that's, again, just bigger than yourself, and that's what's motivating you to do it. Is I'm trying to do something that impacts beyond just myself.
Well, I think you're selling your dad short. I think the fact that he had 50 to 100 clients and he was helping them with financial planning and helping them build their wealth. Well, if I was his client and he helped me then start a company that then employed tens of thousands of people, I think his impact is way bigger than those 50.
That's fair.
So I think that the whole point of it, to me, entrepreneurship is exactly that, problem solving and not having a set of directions. Like you go work at IBM, you're going to start here. Someone's going to tell you to do exactly what you do every day. Then they're going to review it. And then the next job, someone's going to tell you exactly what you do every day.
Mm-hmm.
And you have no creative freedom to implement and put in who you are and your ideas and disrupt whatever it is that you can in your field, right? Like I think every real estate agent who works for a big realtor, like, whatever the big real estate firms are anymore, they're all entrepreneurs to me, right? They have to set their own hours. They eat what they kill as well. They have to figure it out. There's no one telling them specifically how and what they have to do with their job. So that to me is an entrepreneur. I just think it's like driving a car with airbags and a seatbelt and lane controls. That's what to me franchising is. It's just smarter.
Yeah.
I wish I had been smarter at the time. I don't know that I would ever personally start another brand that could be a franchise. I'm looking at buying franchises. All my partners that are athletes, they all buy into franchises because of that reason. It's like I can just use my skills and start from not the beginning.
Yeah.
I get to start
not
here.
Square one, square five.
That's the hardest part. I get to go near depending on what brand you pick, let me rephrase, right? Because if you pick a brand that has 3 units, you might be closer to the beginning, and you pick McDonald's, and you're basically getting a helicopter to drop you 5 feet from the top of Mount Everest. But wherever you want to be on that journey, you don't have to start at the damn bottom.
Mm-hmm.
That is the worst part. It's the hardest. And so to me, that's what's so awesome. And I think entrepreneurs can be entrepreneurial. I mean, at Everbull, right? I mean, Andrew, he is my producer. He dictates all this stuff. I don't tell him how to do it. So he is as entrepreneurial as he wants to be.
Mm-hmm.
He can produce as much content as he wants, take us where we want. And if I don't like it, I'll mention it. But that would happen even if I was a client.
Yep.
So if he was on his own and I was his client, it was going to be the same relationship, right? The difference is he is guaranteed money. I'm a guaranteed client, and we have a shared interest.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not always looking for someone else. So I think that you can be entrepreneurial inside of an organization, or you can say, I don't want to do that because for some reason the wilderness is calling, and you want to go see what you can do on that. And that is the person who should go do it.
I think that's a really important differentiator too, and I'm glad that you said that, because I think I was mixing like founder with entrepreneur. I think what you just described, my dad, those types of roles are very entrepreneurial. It's and taking both hats on and off. I think the founder is kind of the definition that I was blending there of, hey, the one that goes from 0 to 1. They're on their own. They are at square one. But you can be both a founder and an entrepreneur, or you can just be one or the other.
I saw a meme, by the way, on Instagram, and I don't know if it's true because it was a meme. So, preface. But it said the same percentage of psychopaths in prison are the same as founders. It was like, it showed it like, I don't remember, whatever, some percentage of people in prison and founders have share that same psychopathic attribute.
I completely believe it. So the thing that I tell people that are thinking about founding a company, so again, separate from an entrepreneur, but well, I guess there's overlap, right? There's parts of these definitions that I think blend together. But founders that go out and think, I'm going to be the one that starts something from nothing, 0, and bring it into this, into the world and as this big successful thing. The success rate is it's less than 5%. It's small. And you have to be a bit of a sociopath or egotistical to think I'm 1 out of 10 or I'm 1 out of 15 that's going to make it. You have to have an ego. And ego is not necessarily a bad thing always, depending on the intention behind it.
But everyone has an ego.
Yeah. It's like this ego, though, has to be large enough where you're like, I'm 1 of the 10 that's going to make it.
Yeah, you have to have this unshakable, not even based off reality, belief in whatever it is that you're doing in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's even a crack in that, you're probably not going to make it.
Right.
And it doesn't mean you're going to make it just because you have it. Like that just means you're a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
Right? Because I've failed on multiple companies in my career, and I had the same. This is it. This is that. Oh, for sure. What do you mean? Of course I can do this. So this would be a good segue into Franzy, something awesome that you created, and the goal was to democratize franchising. I think that was the way you said it to me. What does that mean?
Yeah, so I think one of the big learnings for me when I got into franchising, because we did eventually franchise the laundromat business that we built.
To you.
Yeah, so it was 2U's, the pickup and delivery, laundry and dry cleaning. And then we started vertically integrating and building physical laundromats to all the processing and quality control and better margin as a result of it. So we started franchising the brick and mortar brand, which is called LaundroLab.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry.
So there's two, but 2U Laundry is the delivery.
Yes.
Think of 2U is like Postmates
Yep.
or DoorDash. LaundroLab is the quick service restaurant fulfilling the orders underneath. They also have walk-in customers.
Really quickly, do you do your laundry in your home?
I do not.
See, I was going to say you are. I don't either, and I don't know really well. I'm not very good at it. If I owned a laundry business, there's no way I wouldn't be able to not do it at home. I was just curious if you didn't have. You don't do your own laundry at home?
So I did a ton until like 4 a.m. when we were getting off the ground. Like we did everything. We'd work third shift in other people's laundromats till 3 or 4 a.m. I'm doing other people's laundry. I learned every part of the business. So I can fold the fitted sheets. Still not great. I'm a little rusty, but then we eventually just started outsourcing it, having the business do it.
Okay, I approve that. Then it's
so
not being done at your house.
We do a little bit now. Like if we need things.
Yeah, but otherwise
Outsource it.
we're using the lab.
Yep.
Okay,
We're going to the lab.
we're going to the lab.
Yeah,
All right,
you gotta,
so carry
it's,
on. I had to
it's
ask.
called dog fooding, right? Like you got to eat your own dog food. See
Absolutely.
if it's good. So I did LaundroLab, started franchising, learned a ton about the franchise world doing this. And one of the main issues I had was a lot of brands work through, franchise brokers or what are called FSOs, franchise sales organizations. They're doing their own organic marketing, paid ads, podcasting, whatever it may be. But a lot of money goes into finding the right franchise partners. And in some cases, 60% commissions are being paid. And if you think about that, the franchisor needs those franchisees to invest in systems and resources and value for their franchisees, site selection, training, marketing playbooks. But if 60% is going out the door, they either need to go raise outside capital or not invest as much in you as the franchisee. And I kept seeing this cycle happening, and I thought maybe it was just us. And I talked to hundreds of other brands, and they're going through the same thing. And unless you're McDonald's, which is a 30, 40, 50-year plus story, most people are going through that trajectory of trying to either figure out that gap to getting royalty break even. And so when I saw that gap and how much value was leaving the system, I thought there's got to be a way to build a platform that allows people to have access to every brand that's out there, all of the data about that brand. What's this going to cost me? How much revenue could I potentially generate? Is there any litigation or bankruptcy I should be aware of? Who's the team behind it? All this information that you care about, all in one spot in a easily digestible format. And so that's what we've built with Franzy, is this Zillow-like platform for buying and selling franchise businesses that cut out some of those middlemen so that the majority of that fee still goes to the brand. And then also there's other resources for the franchisee, lending, helping with entity formation, finding the right franchise CPA, finding the right commercial real estate resource if the brand doesn't have that yet or doesn't have a good enough referral in your area. Franzy can be that that resource to help you find everything you need to get to opening.
Possibly even build outs. Who knows? Maybe you'll find somebody to partner with. I don't know. We'll figure that out later. So that makes sense to me. But now I'm, as a franchisor, and we're, full disclosure, about to do a deal together and put everybody on the platform. So I'm going to ask you the question anyway. It's like a sales call, but it's a good one. Why would I want to be on the platform if my competitors are there versus they stop spending? So now, okay, I don't have to spend. So now I'm going to put all my resources into hoping Franzy brings me the business. Now I'm only competing with one versus mass.
Mm-hmm.
And then how am I going to differentiate myself once I'm there?
Yeah, so the good thing about how Franzy's set up is so we have unverified brands. We've scraped all of this, information on brands from FDDs, franchise disclosure documents, from SBA loans, consumer sentiment to like Google reviews, and we've compiled this huge database of information on 4,000 plus brands. For those brands to become verified, they have to claim their profile. They get a purple check. They show up higher in search results.
Purple for acai? Good call.
Purple for acai and Franzy and the Vikings.
I heard acai. I didn't hear the rest of that. Acai, everybody.
So it's free to do all that work. The thing that I didn't like as a brand is to be repped by some of these broker groups, other channels, $35K initiation, just to be initiated and like for them to rep you. It would be like a real estate agent saying, Jeff, I'm only going to show you houses that I'm also the listing agent on. The other thousands of houses I'm not going to show you. What buyer would want to work with someone that's only going to show you an inventory of 20 to 30 homes or 20 to 30 brands? But that's what's happening today in franchising, unfortunately. And
that's a very good analogy. I never thought about it like that, but that is exactly what's happening.
And people accept it because I don't think people are aware because there's no regulation. You and I could be business brokers right now in this very moment. Let's do it.
Jeff, business brokers.
There's no state regulation. There's no disclosure, so we don't have to tell people how we make money or how it works. And we just took that and said, hey, let's not wait for regulation to happen. Let's just go start doing the right thing. And I think that'll naturally create the center of gravity where brands want to be a part of that because they're pissed off. And prospects, once they realize what happened, they get pissed off. Mm-hmm. And so we have the center of gravity around Franzy where it's transparent, it's open, and people compete on their merit, not on who's got the biggest war chest or who's paying the brokers the most money. The best brands should surface to the top. That's the beauty. There's a lot of flaws to capitalism, but I think the beauties are also, the best brands win. And the right, individuals should work with the brands that are the best fit for them. And so everything that we've designed on the platform is intended to take these thousands and thousands of people that are interested and help them hone in on what's the top 2 or 3 for them. And it truly is different by person. Some people are purely financially motivated, and they're like, I don't care what it is, gutter cleaning, acai bowls, kids swimming pool. I don't care. I just want to make money.
Sure.
And so we'll show them ones that have really good returns. But then there is another layer to that is how active do they need to be in the business? Is there passion behind it, yes or no? And so we've got tons of clients right now. There's one who's incredibly passionate about health and wellness. She wants a fitness concept. There is no changing her mind. And who would we be to change her mind? And so our goal right now is help her find the best fitness brand that is the fit for her, is available in her area. The brand is something that she can see herself doing the next 10 years because there is an emotional component to this for a lot of people. And within Franzy, we're trying to capture that. But a long-winded way of answering your
No, this is great.
Initial
I need
question.
to know this too.
The long-winded way of answering...
I'm supposed to sign the agreement after this, so I need this information.
The long-winded way of answering your question is that we make it a no-brainer for brands. There's no upfront cost. There's no recurring fee yet. We might do that someday. We don't charge per lead. We think we should only get paid if we actually create incremental value, which would be a lead becomes a franchisee, and you love them, and they're an amazing operator, and they love you, and are obsessed with the Everbowl brand. That's how it should be.
But I've never paid a broker, but a lot of brokers work that way too. I mean, I've been pitched by them. They say, don't pay me until you close. I'm going to send you leads. Mm-hmm. So how would it be? The difference there is I have to sign up with them. So I'm not necessarily getting someone who actually should be the perfect Everbowl franchisee.
Because anyone with an email and a pulse and enough money, they'll be like, all right, Everbowl is one of the 20 that we're repping. We're just going to push. And at first, you might be like, oh my gosh, we have all these franchisees. This is great. Sure. 3 years go by, you're like, shit, half of them aren't good operators. They're not as capitalized as we thought. And it ends up hurting you, but the broker just took their $1 million in commissions and their hands aren't wiped clean of it. Our goal is we're also asking the brands to share exactly with us, who are your best operators? What do they look like? What does their background look like? Is there any Myers-Briggs or personality things that we should also filter in? So when leads come in, we say, hey, Jeff, this person has a 90% fit for you guys. Not only can they afford it, we also believe that they'd be a good operator because they look like the other 10 of your top operators. And so we're learning that constantly as well.
So are you guys developing that?
So it's part of it now. The brand fills out what's called a perfect prospect, where you do tell us you want a more sales-oriented leader or a more operation-oriented leader. You want someone who understands they're going to be working in the business 20 hours a week the first year, and then in year 1, they can hire a GM. Maybe you're fine GM out of the gate. You can also set those kind of filters. Yeah, sure. And then we're also asking our leads those same things. Is your expectation that you're going to work X hours a week in the first year and Y in the second?
How are you getting the answers to see if that's working?
So the brand gives it to us up front based on their current franchisees that operate this way and your guys' beliefs. You guys set these beliefs.
I get that part.
On the prospect side, as they're going through the platform and we're teasing additional tools to them, data, pre-qualification, we're asking them 60 to 80 survey questions. We're straight up asking them, do you expect to work 20 hours a week? Do you expect to work 30? In your past experience, have you managed hourly employees before, yes or no? If you haven't, do you feel comfortable doing that? Have you managed people before in a corporation? Some of those skills are transferable. And so we're honing in on these things that are either direct answers to the question or proxies to, hey, if they've done this, they're likely able to do Y.
Sure.
And this is a good fit for Everbull.
But I guess my question is, okay, so we get this. We get however many leads we get. They turn into franchises. It's great. Post-mortem, how are you guys collecting data to know if that exercise we did actually delivered more fit franchisees that were successful? Are the brands required, or are you capturing data 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years later about that prospect who then signed up with Everbull to say, oh my gosh, this set of questions for Everbull was great. We got to tweak this and this because this is where the gaps are? Or is there some plan in place for that post-mortem, or is it up to the brand to give it to you?
So a little bit of both. So we launched in January, so we don't have a ton of data of franchisees open yet. And so brands can go in at any time. Let's say 6 months from now, you guys realize, holy crap, this cohort of franchisees is working really well. That's not what we put in Franzy 6 months ago. Let's go in and update it so that we're looking for more folks that look like this now. So brands can do that any time. They could change it every week if they want. As Franzy, our plan is to check in with individuals that come through the platform every 6 months, 12 months. One, because we want to work with them on other services. Hey, do you need build out and these other things that we mentioned?
Yeah, you do.
So we want to work with them and still be a partner, not just after the sale. That's one thing that again I didn't like about other channels is like, sale's done, I'm out. We want to help until you feel comfortable and the brand has kind of taken you under their wing and you're fully graduated basically at that point. But would like to do like pulse checks every 6 to 12 months. How's it going? Check with the brand. How's this group or this cohort of individuals doing, so that we're constantly learning and training the model that we've built and the algorithm that we've built to match people with the right fit.
So I'm going to give you a great idea, and something that I would use, and you can have this one for free.
Okay.
Just remember who gave it to you when I want to use it later. If and when it works, as well as you believe it's going to work and the brand's going to believe it's going to work. Well, okay, 2 years from today, I'm getting a good amount of leads and closed deals from Franzy, but I have leads coming in not from Franzy, and I want to use that same tool to put them through, but they didn't come through you. Can I not pay you a smaller fee?
100%.
Mine's free, though, because that's the acai scale right there, because that would be then I want to feed it, right? Because now I'm developed. That's the value proposition to me is I want great franchisees.
Yep.
I don't want selling a franchise is not the hard part. It's getting the right people for a brand. Mm-hmm. And that is, 4 years later, never more evident now that I have 100 boxes, right?
Yep.
So I care more about the data and to make sure that we get out the people that are not going to win with us or we're not a good fit for, because it's a matter of when, not if this thing gets to be difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So if I could have a system that I don't have to spend a whole bunch of R&D money and develop, that you did, that I helped master over the course of time together, and now I can use it as well. Everyone else will pay for it, but it'll be a little side deal. That would be wonderful for me. So now I want to feed your system back that data.
Yep.
Because I want it to be, for me, perfect.
Yep. And I mean, just as much as you learn about what you like about a franchise partner, we also want to know all the things that you don't like about the bottom 20%, so that we can start to understand what does that individual look like, so we can filter them out and not show your brand to individuals that look like that. They might still be great for another brand. They might just not, what we talked about earlier, they might just not have it.
Yeah.
And franchising is not for them. And we also might, build at some point, part of the process where we tell people that it's like, hey, this isn't for you based on all the things that we've learned about. If you bring a partner on and you just want to be silent, that we could do that. We can help you find capital, or an operating partner that has it that you can back if you want exposure to franchising as an asset class.
Kind of like one of those platforms that used to be able to, in a way, lend money, but it's like micro loans.
Yeah, we've talked about could we fractionalize ownership in franchising? We're like,
that's a little regulatory difficult.
Yeah, and I think the way
it'd be a loan, I think.
Yeah, we'd have to figure out maybe it's 5 or 6 guys we get together, 5 or 6 guys and gals, and they each put in real money. They're accredited investors.
Yep.
That could be fine. But as soon as we start doing $10K here, $15K there, I don't know if we can do that. It'd be interesting and exciting, I think. But
a marketplace is hard because you have to get. Okay, I'm a wannabe franchisee. I come to Franzy and I see only 3, 10, 50 purple checks, acai checks, and check marks. So I know that you are on behalf of them, right? Because if there's no check, you're just showing me the information?
So we'll show you, and if you say, hey, I want this one, the Franzy fit score is how we kind of use the AI based on all the data you've given us plus the branded match. If they're unverified and you're like, I really want this one. I know there's 2 other verified that look similar to it, but this is the one. Like, there's so much availability in my market. I like the team. I've read up on the story. I've done all this research. Our team then goes and chases them down for you, and we'll still help with everything. We'll help with negotiating. We'll help with
how do you get paid?
Lending. So most brands, when we go to them and say, hey, we've got a guy with $1 million net worth or $2 million net worth, and he wants to do 5 of these, they sign that day. They get verified, the next day. They take the lead. It's part of it. I mean, it's a sales lead engine for us.
And so you're doing just as much with your AI for unverified as you are for verified?
Yes.
Based on this scrape.
The verified shows up in search. It has a preference because a lot of the times people want to, once they decide to make the decision, they want to get going. And we've found there's not, in more cases than not, someone's not married to one specific brand. They're married to a concept or a subsector.
But scraping data is only going to give you so much. I mean, as a verified customer who signed with you, I'm assuming I'm going to give you more information.
More, but we have so much of it from the FTD, from SBA loans, from...
What did I eat for breakfast today?
I don't have that.
Okay.
But if I pull up Everbowl right now, I'll know average revenue. I'll know average costs to get into it. If there's any ongoing bankruptcy or litigation, it'll be in.
Sure.
We're pulling in articles that mention Everbowl.
You said all these negative things. What about how amazing our bulls are?
Like, the revenue, the consumer sentiment. So we pull all of that in that we just, we find online.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So then, so you know what I'm going to do? I want to take the test and see if Everbowl's a good fit for me.
That would be awesome.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, we should definitely do that.
That'd be fun. What if it comes out that it's not? That's scary. It would be. It has to be.
Well, it depends on, like earlier you said, you're really good at finding, and assembling the right team of people.
Sure.
And so if you answer for just you as yourself, and Everbowl is requiring, hey, we need someone that's going to work in the business, it might actually show.
But how do you know what Everbowl? But that's my question. How would you know what Everbowl requires right now? Since I haven't told you.
You haven't done it. We wouldn't know yet. We would take.
So that's the data that wouldn't be there.
Yeah,
that was kind of my question.
Your perfect prospect perfect prospect information wouldn't be there, but we would have it understanding that retail business, it has, roughly this many employees. We kind of back into a little bit of it based on FTD. And if you said, I want no food and bev, or maybe you personally didn't want to run a business like that. If you said anything like that, it would show up lower.
Well, I'm not going to say that.
Yeah. If you said I don't want to be in the business.
Yeah, I don't like food and beverage. I don't like superfoods. That'll be fun. I'm going to do that. I'm curious to see. Should I wait till we sign up so that way you have the profile?
Yeah.
And then I'm going to actually run the test against myself?
Yes.
Oh, I better pull Everbowl. I'll be so sad if it doesn't. I really will.
Well, you might look at this and there's other things that say like health and wellness or indoor entertainment concepts, and you personally might be like, oh, this is cool, indoor entertainment.
Well, it is cool. But I think I'm gonna nail it. I'm gonna nail the test. So then, so you do this. Obviously, you're an entrepreneur. It's capitalism. It's going to define which franchise is good for the franchisee. That's great. I love all that. What is the next phase of that, though? Like, how does that change as we move further down this path, right? How does that then change kind of the approach to what you're working on? As once you build, like Zillow, there's Redfin, there's all the, competitors will pop up, right? And who owns customers will pop up, whether it's already someone who already has a big brokerage firm that already has all these relationships or whatever. How do you then differentiate? Because the lift for you is going to be leads. Your value proposition to a brand is, can we get a lot of leads? And that's going to be how you win the game. So how are you focusing on distribution of your message and customer acquisition and getting awareness to Franzy, both in front of brands and potential franchisees?
Yep. So we talked about it a little bit earlier, but I agree, distribution is everything. And so as many channel partnerships that we can develop and build on now, where we create value for those channel partners, whether that's other brands even who get, you probably get leads for Everbowl that for whatever reason it just doesn't work out. Could be a bad reason, could be a good reason, just doesn't work out. They're dead now. Well, what if you just gave them to Franzy, and if we turned them into a prospect, a franchisee of another brand, we'll pay Everbowl a referral fee, and brands would love that. I mean, you can monetize these things that you'd otherwise be getting zero from. So that's one example of many that we're building out now as affiliate programs. We're investing a lot in our own content and establishing ourselves further as an authority on franchising and the resource to go to for whether you're a first timer or you're a large private equity or family office group looking for their 50th concept to get into. we have such rich data and insights that why wouldn't you use Franzy to identify, with pinpoint surgical accuracy what the right thing is for you to start looking at, plus the trend data we're starting to capture on what brands have velocity, the newest brands that have all this open white space but good underlying financials. And so it's a combination of those distribution channels plus I think the data rigor and productization of the platform that we're building that I think creates and sets us apart, creates the moat and sets us apart.
How'd you come up with the name Franzy?
Honestly, 2 syllables, like short, easy to remember, mostly easy to say. Some people say Franzy, like Franzia, and I think they maybe think of their college years.
Sure.
And it was available. So it's a .com. It's got franchising in it. It's kind of fun to say.
Came off your tongue one day, Franzy?
My co-founder came up with it. He was brainstorming ideas with his wife, and he's like, I think I got it. It's Franzy. And we had like Franchisely and some of these other ones, but our goal eventually is to do franchise resales as well as all offline businesses. So Franzy to us also felt like it's generic enough that it doesn't have to be just franchising. It could be you and I own a car wash together and it's time to sell it, and biz by sell isn't doing it for us. We want more quality vetted buyers, and as sellers we want to also be vetted and list our financials, and I could see this becoming a platform for that as well.
So as an authority on franchising, what are the attributes that make a really good franchisee?
The answer, the easy short answer is it depends, right? I think if the business really requires someone that's hands-on and very entrepreneurial, I think that individual needs to come from an operationally intensive background. They have to have this I don't quit, I don't fail, mentality and attitude, versus there's other, businesses where sales matters so much, and it needs to be that guy or gal, again, that is the relationship builder and loves, working, with the Chamber of Commerce and going to, different events and really putting themselves and their brand out there. So the answer is it depends. I think at the core of it all is that entrepreneurial spirit that is someone that likes problem solving and runs towards challenge instead of away from it, and wants to be fulfilled and be their own boss in that way. I think that has to be core across all the different kind of archetypes that exist within franchising, because it is so varied. I mean, it's home services, food, health and wellness, hospitality, early childhood education and development. I mean, there's really a franchise for everything. And so I think there's really a franchise for everyone. It's that core underlying belief that I can do this, I want to do this, and I'm going to go take that leap and do it.
Would you ever buy a franchise?
I'm buying a couple right now.
I'm selling you an Everbolt today?
So my score comes out.
We're spinning this around now.
No employees, no inventory. So it's one thing I hate about people that sell franchises will sometimes say, "Oh, semi-absentee," or it's mailbox money, and I'm like,
nothing's mailbox.
Nothing's that easy. I think I found a brand that's very close. It's called Another Nine. Okay. It is an indoor golf simulator franchise. So private base. Think of like Anytime Fitness when that took off.
Yeah.
You go scan your phone, it unlocks the door. You go access top of the line golf simulators, but in your own private bay. There's not groups hooting and hollering, a curtain away from you. It's walled off, insulated, soundproofed, and it's out of Cincinnati. It's a small outfit, and they've just done really well their first couple of years with the business. And me and my business partner from the last the laundry business have decided, let's go do this in Minnesota. It's winter, 6-7 months out of the year. Mm-hmm. There's competition there, but there isn't anyone doing it exactly like this, where you have the private bays. It's more for the young family that wants, the kids just went down. They want to go get an hour. They want to go play Pebble Beach in December in Minnesota for an hour with the dad down the road, down the street from them, and they're going to go hit balls for an hour and a half.
Here's a quick masterclass on business development, solution-based selling. Everbolt's not for him, but you need to build this thing out, don't you?
I do.
So you probably need to find something that could solve that problem.
Yes, I do.
I think I can help you there. Yeah, that's cool. So it's called Another Nine, huh?
Another Nine.
Never heard of it, but I'll check them out.
So that's one that I'm personally interested in, and then I own part of the laundromats that we own. Mm-hmm. I would eventually, once Franzy gets to a certain size, would love to start getting into concepts that I can lean into more and start to build out that empire. And I love what you guys are doing. I mean, meeting Jason, and just hearing his story, and I think there is an opportunity, like some of the folks that you work with, to do this on a large scale. And that gets me excited, but I know that I need to find the right partner that has more operational chops than I do.
Sure, of course. Well, I get that. But I'm still going to question your scorecard. Okay. I'll beat you in a round at Pebble Beach in Minnesota
I bet you
after we're done building it.
You a golfer?
I mean, I can golf, yes.
Yeah.
I'm a golfer. That's a loaded question. Everybody who plays golf is a golfer. But yeah, I think I got you.
I'm not very
I'm
good.
going to wait, actually. Hold on. I don't want to challenge you until your son's due in May.
Yep. June.
No. Give me January.
Okay.
Yeah. Give me January.
All right.
6 months in, let's go golf.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So that's really cool. So I'm excited to put Everbull on there. I'm excited to see the quality of leads. We don't have an outside sales force. We don't spend money really on outside selling of franchises. We've never really paid brokers. We get people who hit us up like, hey, I got a guy or a girl who has this net worth. Would you take it? And yes, if they close, we'll be happy to pay for it. Because I don't really believe someone should sell my brand for me. If you're incentivized to close a sale, you're a transactional salesperson, and I'm building a relationship. It's not a transaction. And that has been my fear. And that's why I like the Franzy idea, because that's my biggest issue with every broker who's ever said, well, why not? It's free extra leads. I'm like, no, it's free extra transactions. You take my check and leave, and I'm stuck with someone that may or may not be fit. And I don't know what you said to him. And I need someone who's good. Because I say this to every potential franchisee on a call when I speak to them. Let's both find a reason not to do this. Scrutinize everything I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to scrutinize everything you're going to tell me. And if we get to the end and we want to do it, let's do it. Because it is a real commitment together. And I have now learned wholeheartedly the wrong franchisee cannot be in my system.
It's not worth it.
It's not worth
the franchise fee or anything else that you would.
Well, that's a different challenge. I think most brands make a huge mistake. If you need the franchise fee to build your operations, you're franchising too soon, in my opinion. You don't understand your business. I had 28 before I franchised, so I understood a little bit more about my business than 2 units that then franchise, right?
Yep.
Not that I get it. I'm not saying that's not an okay path, but if you need the franchise fee to fund the business, you're going to make decisions out of necessity that are bad for the brand long term. And I think that's one of the reasons I think only 4% of brands ever hit 100 boxes or 100 locations.
It's very
By
small.
the way, what day is your son due?
May 26th.
Tentatively that week, we're opening our 100th location.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Where is it going to be?
It's going to be in Nebraska.
Wow.
Yes.
Are you in Charlotte? You're not in Charlotte yet, I don't think.
Yet.
I can't wait for that.
Yet.
Close?
Well, no, I'm looking at you. I thought one of the criteria is territories available, a lot of white space. You know what? How cool would it be? We open our 100th, your son is born, and you commit to a franchise the same week? No, I don't want to sell you.
If I find an operating partner, I'm in.
I'm just joking. I don't want to sell you a franchise. So anyway, so I think that is the part that you mentioned about brokers that I think is very important. So brands who are listening to this, that's what I'm hoping Franzy solves. Like if I have a shot across the bow for you of like a goal that I would like to see, and like if you were talking to me as a prospect for you as a franchisor, if you can do that solution to where I'm not getting prospects that are being sold. And that's what it sounds like you are building, and that is my biggest excitement about your platform. Like when I first heard it, for a second, I was like, I'm not interested. And then I got, no, listen, this is why they're different, and I looked into it, and I didn't just be ignorant to the assumption that I was going to make. Well, I try to be. It was like, oh, wait, okay. So the fact that my competition's there, they don't care who they sell to, so they're not selling my brand, they're selling franchising, and they're going to find the right brand for that franchisee. Okay, and I do like that. Let's go play the game, because I do believe we have a better value proposition for a lot of prospects. And go look at the competition. And if you think that they have something better, go be them, and we'll compete on the field. I'm okay with that.
And that's what I love about it is like competition can be great because it pushes us all to be better. And it's like down to your product, how you market, how you distribute, how you train. Like you're competing at every one of those. Why wouldn't you also compete at this point of attracting the right person too?
I think because they need the franchise fee.
That's fair.
If you need money, then that's the necessity, and that's the scary part. That's why brands get in trouble. It's force fed up front, and you don't have the support staff.
Well, something that I agree with you. Like if you purely needed the franchise fee to get going, it's probably too soon. The thing I think it was Illinois, like some states, the registration states, and the way that you do your accounting is you can't recognize the franchise fee until certain amounts of value have been exchanged along the way. You help them find the site. You help them build the site. You help them, do training. And that's when I realized, we looked into the law a little bit more. The franchise fee is meant to be an investment into that individual's location, the training, the whatever. It shouldn't be the only reason to keep your doors open as a franchisor, but most of that $50K should be going right back into resources that are providing direct value to that franchisee.
100%.
And when 60%'s out the door, it's like, how can you ever do that?
Well, it's because they don't have the infrastructure, right? Like, we do a lot on site selection.
Well, and even if they had it, it's right, like some of that money should still be going towards paying the team that's doing the site selection and building.
Absolutely. And making sure that there is viability in the market. I mean, it is fascinating the amount of information and predictability we now have with how many stores we have. It's such a game changer. If you look at the revenue per box and profitability per box of our first 35 locations, 40 locations to the last 30, it is so astronomical that different. Like, before, we were using what we thought was our best guess, gut, and what real estate brokers would tell us, and landlords, and their printed sheet of all that fun, psychographics, psychodemographics and all that, to now with the technology tools and AI and business intelligence, and the fact that we have 98 open stores in 30 plus states. I'm not going to oversell this. It is so much more impactful for franchisees today. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why it's important to decide what level of risk tolerance you want when you buy a franchise.
Yep.
If you buy a franchise that has 5 locations, you are pioneering it. And I would recommend you negotiate like you are.
Yep.
I would recommend you really negotiate like you are. Ask for more and get more upside and options, because you are helping figure this thing out. Versus McDonald's, you'll be lucky to get a territory. Mm-hmm. And you don't get to decide anything.
Exactly.
In fact,
and that's, people don't realize that. And like, some people come in and they think, oh, this FDD, it's 200 pages long. Like, I'm going to negotiate everything. You also can't do that. But if you're early enough, there are things in the franchise agreement. You can definitely negotiate deferred royalties, lesser royalties for a few years, concessions on the franchise fee.
Options to markets and rights of first refusal as you want to expand. Because I think that the other negative is prospects negotiate from a place of, how do I not give franchisor money, instead of thinking about, how do I grow with franchisor?
Right.
So if you're going to go pioneer a new state for me, and you want to say, look, I'm going to bring the first one to Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, we have a store, but let's just say we didn't, right? In your neighborhood, where you grew up, whatever. And there's room around you. Why would you say, look, I'm going to buy a 1-unit deal because I want to get this figured out, or a 3-unit or a 5-unit, whatever you're going to do, but I want the rights to expand, and I don't want you to bring anyone into my territory or give any kind of encroachment until this amount of time, or if you do, I get first right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's growing with me, versus, I don't want to pay you royalties. Okay. Well, how do you want me to be in business for you? Because royalties are not meant to hurt you. Mm-hmm. If you can't look at the percentage that you're paying, $1 million a year store, you're paying 6%, you're paying $60,000 a year. If the franchisor cannot provide you $60,000 a year value, don't buy the franchise.
Yep, exactly.
Flat out. Just don't buy it. Because if they're not providing you some marketing capabilities, some accounting and financial best practices and controls, some supply chain and logistics and product benefits, insurance benefits, group buy, anything benefits, technology benefits, global marketing benefits, if they can't provide you any of those things, and if they're like, yeah, but I don't know how to quantify it, well, go figure out what all that costs. You'll find really quickly, it should be cheaper to have the 6% or 5% or 8% royalty.
Yep.
If it's not, they're not ready to franchise, and you're not getting the value.
Yep. The thing that we always tell clients is, ask yourself the question of, what is the franchisor doing for me lately? Because out of the gate, it's always easy to justify, oh my gosh, they've got the logo and they're helping with the site selection and the build out. Like, a ton of value is given up front. I mean, no doubt. But what about year 6? What is the franchise doing for me lately? What are they doing for me then? And they should still be able to answer all the questions you just said. It's like, I'm getting acai, like high quality acai, for a fraction of what I would get it on my own. All right, boom, tons of my main consumable is way cheaper. There's menu innovation that I'm not doing. There's investments in marketing and the brand that I wouldn't be doing on my own. And so it's like, all right, boom, there's like 5, 6, 7 things right there that definitely are worth more than $60,000 a year.
I mean, it disappears so quick. $60,000. I mean, one person, like, go hire a social media marketer.
Yeah, done.
Yeah, done. There's your $60,000. Go hire anybody to develop your financial controls.
Mm-hmm.
Done. So, and I would also say, what are you doing for the franchise? Just as much. You're an owner. You don't get to play owner when you want to and employee when you want to. And that's my other position, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, I'm a franchisor. Hold me accountable. You're a franchisee. Hold yourself accountable.
Mm-hmm.
You hold me accountable and I hold you accountable. What are you doing for the benefit of the brand? Are you growing your territory? Are you invested in your community? You go open a Neverbowl in your neighborhood. Did you just open it, commit to the fact that you were going to be involved in the brand, and then, I don't want to do it, so you're not? And so you're mad that you're not getting some results from us, but you're not putting in what you on your side? Like, you're in this thing. That's why it is real work. It's a business.
Yep.
You're an entrepreneur. It's time to play the game.
Yep.
And let's play it together.
Yep.
And when you put those people together, that's where you have big wins.
Yep.
So we could wrap forever, but I'm looking at a clock that says I only have you for a few minutes because Melissa called and said, if you're not on the plane, I'm going to be dead.
We get a free Everbowl.
Yeah, I'm going to be dead. I'm not going to risk that. So this has been awesome, man. I wanted to spend more time talking about all these things because I think that there's so much value. I do recommend everybody go to Franzy and check it out. Prospective franchisees who already know Everbowl, come to us first. But until I get his tool. Otherwise, if you've never heard of a brand and you are interested, definitely go do this test. The perfect prospect.
There's the Franzy Fit Score.
Oh, I think it says perfect prospect.
So that's for the brand. The brand side is we probably need to figure this out. But yeah, the brand is perfect prospect for prospects. It's the Franzy Fit Score.
The Franzy Fit Score. And look for brands that have the acai Everbowl check mark. Then you know that they are Franzy certified now.
Yep.
Certified?
Verified.
Verified. I'm going to get that. You know what? I'm going to be a better employee. See, I need to do better. Hold me accountable. No, but seriously, thank you, man. Like, this is awesome. You are a testament to entrepreneurship back from 18 years old, which I admire.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're an inspiration. Like, look, find a problem, find an opportunity, run deep, whether you work for somebody or you do it yourself or you buy a franchise. Pick your path, but you're an example of, hey, I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. I'm not going to just show up every day. I'm going to show up the right way every day, and I think that's why you've been winning, whether it was at Wake Forest all the way through. You didn't play soccer at Wake Forest. It's okay. Not everybody can. But no, Alex, thank you so much. Like, this has been really great.
Yeah, this was awesome. I could have stayed all day and talked about AI next and franchising
and
more.
Stay tuned.
I'll be back.
Yeah, you will.
Hey everyone. First, I want to thank all of you for tuning in. And if you guys haven't heard about my new book, Relationship Bank Account, click the link in the show notes or search the title on Amazon. This book is packed with all my secrets to success in both relationships and life. Make sure to pick up a copy, and if the book helps you on your journey, let us know by leaving a review. I appreciate all of you and can't wait to see you on the next one.